Good morning, everyone. Today's Friday, June 25th, 2021. I'm Jennifer Woodward, Executive Director of your AFDNP, here for a fantastic Friday webinar. I'm so excited to bring my new friend, Marianne Marks, to the community. And let me tell you a little bit about Marianne. Aside from being just really fun and really smart, she is the creator, co-founder, and CEO of LabSmarts. She's also a holistic nutrition consultant and functional medicine practitioner who's widely regarded by her peers as the go-to source on functional blood chemistry analysis. LabSmarts was born out of Marianne's passion and knowledge for analyzing blood work and her excitement and experience in developing automation software. Marianne has combined the skills from her 20 years in the tech industry with the skills from her 8 years in holistic health to create a tool that helps practitioners to be more effective and efficient at using blood work to uncover root causes and proactively correct body system imbalances. To learn more about Marianne, check out the About page on the LabSmarts.com website. Fantastic. Well, welcome, Marianne. How are you this morning?
Yeah, I'm great, Jennifer. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm really happy to have you. And I only smile this big on Fridays. I mean, we're so close, right?
Yes. Yay.
Yes.
I love Friday.
Yeah, I do too. So before we hopped on, Marianne, I was just telling you that I meet with Reed on Fridays just for a powwow, what's going on at AFDNP. And we were just looking at the LabSmarts technology today, and he was really impressed, and I've just been really impressed. So we're very excited to hop onto the webinar today and hear more about LabSmarts.
Great. Yeah. So I'll combine it with, mainly I'm going to try to educate you on some things, and then I'll show you the software. I'll bring up the presentation first.
There, that's perfect. It's full screen now.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So I label this presentation, do not recommend iron supplements until you watch this webinar. So I'm going to give you some tips on what I'm talking about here, but everybody knows in this community, test, don't guess. So if you're recommending iron supplements without knowing your client's iron levels, you'll be glad that you're going to watch this webinar. I'm happy that you're on and maybe watching the replay later. So in this webinar, you'll learn the dangers of recommending an iron supplement when it's not needed, 2 scenarios where you should never recommend an iron supplement. And one of those scenarios, I'm going to talk about the case study that I did. I did a poster presentation at NANP's HealCon this year about this case study where I had a client where she was taking chronic or long-term oral contraceptives, which cause chronic fatigue by depleting vitamin B6. So I'll show you that case study as one of those scenarios. And then I'll show you how to quickly identify blood chemistry patterns for these scenarios using my software, LabSmarts. Okay, so I'll quickly talk about me and LabSmarts, but Jennifer did a really good job. I don't really even know that I need to say much about me, but I really made this. I learned about blood work analysis when I was in school at Bowman, and they touched a little bit about it in the nutritional assessment module. And I just, being a techie as I am, I just got fascinated with it. And I've taken maybe over 7 or 8 different functional blood chemistry analysis courses. And I just got really into it. And I created a spreadsheet like a lot of people do. But I decided that, I started using the spreadsheet with my clients and I found it so helpful, but, I wanted to, have more functionality and wanted to be able to present them with something. And I looked at the software that was out there and it was too expensive for me. It was like $100 a month. And I'm like, I think I can make something. I've made software before. And so I wanted to give it a try. And I was even at a point where I was helping my colleagues analyze their clients' blood work too. I just became obsessed with it. So here I am, like 3 years later. I've spent 3 years creating this software, and now I'm ready to share it with my colleagues. So let me get back to the presentation. Enough about me. So this is a quote. Oh, let me move this little thing here so I can read this. So it's likely that as many people are being injured by iron supplementation as are receiving medical benefit from it. This is a quote on the back of one of my favorite books, because I'm a geek about iron, Exposing the Hidden Dangers of Iron. So there's a lot of people are given iron supplementation and they shouldn't be. So I want to just educate everyone on the times and scenarios where you shouldn't do that. So this is a study where it shows where excess iron can cause free radical damage. And how it does that is I'll read this quote from the study here. Increased iron may change the role of hydrogen peroxide, which is a safe compound involved in cell signaling, to a source of the highly toxic hydroxyl radical. So we don't want excess iron floating around in our serum if we don't need it. And so there's a lot of people make this assumption that microcytic hyperchromic anemia is always caused by iron deficiency, and that's just not the case. A lot of conventional medical doctors, they don't order the iron panel. Here, let me skip to this one. Again, test, don't guess. It's important to know your client's values for these 4 markers: serum iron, percent saturation, TIBC, and ferritin before recommending an iron supplement. And even before, I've had some clients where they were on a paleo diet, but they switched to a paleo diet and it made them feel worse. And then we ended up testing their iron panel and found that their iron was high, ferritin was high. And then we ended up doing a hemochromatosis test and found out hereditary, they had that condition. So even supplements and even a diet high in iron can harm somebody. So we got to be careful with iron containing foods as well as supplementation. So again, like I'm saying, you can cause harm by doing this. Excess iron can cause tissue damage, joint swelling, prolonged infection because of iron overload type conditions. So it's good to test first. And here's a study that I found. Iron supplementation without justification caused oxidative stress in pregnant women and in the fetus. So they did this study where 27 pregnant women in the 3rd trimester, they gave 100 milligrams a day of iron and 500 milligrams of vitamin C. And we know that vitamin C helps iron absorption. And then they had a control group of 27 where they didn't supplement. And so after delivery, both groups had normal hemoglobin and ferritin, but the supplemented group had higher serum iron, lower vitamin E, which we know is vitamin E is a good antioxidant, and higher TBARS. And I had to look that up because and I can't even remember, thiobarbituric acid reactive substances, which are substances that are created after lipid peroxidation. So this excess iron that wasn't needed in these women, because people assume that, pregnant women, they're anemic, let's just give them iron. And that's not really always a good idea. So that caused uncontrolled lipid peroxidation in that group because they never tested their iron levels. They just assumed it and just gave them this iron. And so it not only caused this in the mother, but in the fetus. So that's a little scary. So this is where you're going to add value. So you'll order and obtain the CBC, CMP, and iron panel with ferritin. You can use LabSmarts. You don't have to, but you can. I make it easy for you to do that, to analyze the results, and then you'll quickly be able to identify all the different combinations of scenarios of possible root causes. But you'll notice and see that if this happens, there are 2 scenarios where you should never recommend an iron supplement. And so the 2 scenarios here is heme synthesis dysfunction, which is sideroblastic anemia. And I'll show you later in LabSmarts, because we can't diagnose. I don't use any diagnostic terms in LabSmarts. So you can share the results with your client without being worried that they're going to think you're diagnosing, or if they share that PDF with their doctor, you're not diagnosing. So anything, and I'll show you later too, that I say for anemia, I call it suboptimal blood oxygen delivery. So I try to use the body system processes just so you can explain it's the process that's dysfunctional, and you're not telling them they have sideroblastic anemia. So this first scenario where you should never recommend an iron supplement is when iron is present, but it can't be converted into heme to make hemoglobin. So the client doesn't need more iron. They already have enough. They just can't convert it. And the other one is bacterial infection. So some bacteria do consume iron to generate energy. And so the body knows that. And if you have bacterial infection, it's going to keep that iron out of the serum. So you don't want to give a client iron. You could just be prolonging that infection. So I'll get deep into the details of this first scenario, heme synthesis dysfunction. So iron is present, but can't be converted into heme to make hemoglobin. This does present as a microcytic hyperchromic anemia with low hemoglobin because your body can't make hemoglobin. But the body is allowing more than an optimal amount of iron to remain in the serum in an effort to make more heme for hemoglobin. So there's already enough and even extra amount of iron in the serum, even though there's low hemoglobin. And this presents as elevated serum iron, elevated percent saturation, and normal or elevated ferritin. And I'll show you that. So the client, again, does not need more iron. They already have more than enough iron in this scenario. So the process of turning iron into heme, you need vitamin B6 and zinc. And so in a lot of times, and especially if it's a client that is vegetarian, not supplementing with any B vitamins, they could, and in this other scenario, I'll show you, oral contraceptives can do that too. They could be deficient in B6, and that's the reason why they're not converting that iron into heme. And it's not, they need more iron, they just need more B6 and also zinc as well. You need B6 and zinc to convert that iron into heme. And also there's lead toxicity could be an issue. That lead toxicity, lead affects the ALA enzyme that does some conversions in that whole pathway. So if they have lead toxicity, that could be another reason they're not converting that iron into heme. So that could be another functional test that you look at. So here's the case study that I did at HealCon this year. So I show how long-term oral contraceptives can cause heme synthesis, it's hard to say, heme synthesis dysfunction resulting in chronic fatigue. So this is a pathway that I build out. So the first step is oral contraceptives deplete vitamin B6. So this is how it does it. Estrogen increases the breakdown of tryptophan, and inside that pathway, there are about 3 different pathways inside of there, the breakdown of tryptophan that rely on pyridoxal 5-phosphate, which is a form of vitamin B6. We call it PLP or P5P. So that increased tryptophan uses up more B6. So estrogen breaks down tryptophan faster, uses up more B6. This is how oral contraceptive long-term use deplete vitamin B6. So, and P5P is needed to synthesize heme to make hemoglobin, like I was saying earlier. So decreased P5P results in decreased hemoglobin. So hemoglobin, we know, is inside, I gotta keep moving this thing around. Hemoglobin inside red blood cells binds to oxygen, and red blood cells deliver oxygen to all cells of the body. So decreased hemoglobin results in decreased oxygen delivery. And then we know mitochondria inside the cells use oxygen to make energy. So decreased oxygen results in decreased energy production. And so that results or correlates into chronic lack of energy production, can result in chronic fatigue. So this is, I call it the OC pathway to chronic fatigue, the oral contraceptive pathway. So oral contraceptives increase estrogen, which is estrogen. So you're getting more estrogen, and that increases tryptophan breakdown, which reduces B6, which reduces heme, which reduces hemoglobin, which reduces oxygen delivery to all the cells, which reduces energy. So that's the pathway. And I've seen this in a few clients that were taking oral contraceptives. So that's something to think about if you have a client that's taking long-term oral contraceptives and aren't eating meat and aren't taking B complex vitamins. That's really usually the key, because if they're eating meat, they're probably getting enough from that, but you never know. It's something to look into. So then here's how I did the method of assessment for that. We used LabSmarts to automate the analysis of these patterns. So I determined the likelihood of anemia, which I call suboptimal blood oxygen delivery, the type of anemia, I tell you the size and color of the red blood cells, and then I automate the pattern analysis to help you figure out the possible root causes of anemia. So all this stuff this part is all automated, so you don't have to figure any of that stuff out. So in this case, LabSmarts identified that it was highly likely that the client had suboptimal blood oxygen delivery, most likely caused by heme synthesis dysfunction, it's a mouthful, as a result of vitamin B6 insufficiency. So this is diagnostically known as acquired sideroblastic anemia caused by vitamin B6 deficiency, but we won't get in trouble if we say all these other words. So this is a screenshot of LabSmarts, where in the red blood cell analysis section, I'll show you how we did this. So the first part is we determine the likelihood of suboptimal blood oxygen delivery, and that's determined by the values on for red blood cells, hemoglobin, and hematocrit. We tell you less likely, possible, likely, or highly likely. And I like to write out the words for what this all means. So it's highly likely that the delivery of oxygen by the red blood cells to all cells of the body is suboptimal as a result of a lower than number of red blood cells, a lower than optimal amount of hemoglobin in a liter of blood, and a lower than optimal percent of red blood cells in a liter of blood. That's what hematocrit means. So it's just writing out what those markers mean. And so then we determine the size, red blood cell size, which is microcytic in this case, based on the MCV, that's the mean corpuscular volume, the size of the average size of the red blood cell. The red blood cell color, which is in this case was hyperchromic, based on the MCHC, mean corpuscular hemoglobin concentration, which is the average amount of iron in the red blood cell based on the size of the red blood cell. And so I like to write this out again. The delivery of oxygen by the red blood cells to all cells of the body is suboptimal as a result of smaller than optimal red blood cells, which means microcytic, containing a lower than optimal amount of hemoglobin for their size, which is hyperchromic. And so this, without the iron panel, without iron and ferritin, there are multiple root causes for a microcytic hyperchromic anemia. So you just can't say, oh, you have anemia, you have low hemoglobin, it's iron, let me give you iron. And that's what a lot of conventional doctors do. And we know better than that. So what I do is I show you that. So this is an example of without having the iron panel. And so all sorts of possible root causes for that: vitamin A, copper, heme synthesis, chronic blood loss, acute infection. So then what I do is, if you have the iron panel in the software, I run that with other patterns to help narrow down the possible root causes of that anemia for you. So in this case, with these markers here, it narrowed it down to heme synthesis dysfunction, possibly caused by vitamin B6 insufficiency. So based on these values here, you could see that the serum iron is higher than optimal. So there's more than enough iron in the serum. Also the transferrin, that's percent saturated, how much iron is saturated on the transferrin protein, which is the protein that carries around iron in the blood. That's also high in this scenario, and ferritin is high. So with this pattern, and the TIBC is total iron binding capacity, which is the capacity remaining on transferrin for iron to bind to it. So it's low, meaning that transferrin is pretty much used up with iron. So there's not a lot more capacity on that transferrin for iron to bind to it. So that pattern there helped narrow down and got rid of all those other possible root causes, because iron deficiency, that's not a pattern for iron deficiency in some of those other ones. It's more of a pattern for sideroblastic anemia. And also then I take it a step even further, that I say that it's possibly caused by vitamin B6 insufficiency, because in the liver section, I have AST and ALT, and those are B6 dependent enzymes. And typically when those are low, you could correlate that there's a B6 deficiency. And I say insufficiency and not deficiency, again, keeping it non-diagnostic. So all that's automated for you to help you figure out that that's the most likely possible root cause. And then you would go and, like you do, go and look at some other tests, maybe do a micronutrient test or an organic acids test to look to see if there's a B6 deficiency or maybe a homocysteine. Let me see here. Oh, okay. So then as part of the case study, there are studies out there. And at the very end, I have references for every single step in that process of oral contraceptives. And there's this one that shows that I gave my client 100 milligrams of P5P twice a day for 2 months, and had her, she didn't eat meat. So I had her eat some other foods rich in B6. And I also found that raw broccoli and cauliflower, because frozen, so you have to eat it raw, because frozen has high amounts of pyridoxine glycoside, a form of B6, which greatly reduced bioavailability. So raw is better than frozen for getting, I mean, I guess we all know that for everything, just about, that you can get better bioavailability with raw food. And then I gave her a B complex. And so after just a couple of weeks with these changes, she noted there was a noticeable improvement in her energy. And then we reran her blood work after 2 months, and the anemia was corrected. So that was pretty cool. So the second scenario where you would never want to give an iron supplement, even in a microcytic hyperchromic anemia situation, is an acute or chronic bacterial infection. Like I mentioned earlier, bacteria consume iron. So in this case, the pattern, this is the same scenario, except the values for the iron panel are different. And in this scenario, it narrowed it down to serum iron insufficiency, possibly caused by chronic inflammation or oxidative stress, and possibly caused by acute infection. So in LabSmarts, you could tell here that the serum iron was low, the TIBC was low, and the percent saturation is low. These two are the key there, that iron is low, percent saturation is low. So but ferritin is high, and ferritin is an acute phase reactant and is high in times of inflammation. So you can tell from this pattern that the body, I mean, that there's enough iron in storage, but the body is keeping that iron out of the serum. So you don't want to give more iron to this client because she's microcytic hyperchromic anemia, because you'll just feed that bacteria and you could just prolong that bacterial infection. So there's two different scenarios. So a B6 deficiency that could be causing this, or zinc deficiency could also be causing that sideroblastic anemia. That's when you don't want to give iron. And then in a bacterial infection. Oh, so I have so many different combinations of possible root causes within LabSmarts that helps you narrow down and to make it easier for you to have to, instead of having to manually look at those different patterns. So I just scroll through here. I like normocytic, normochromic, macrocytic, B12, normocytic. There's another one. Even when it's high, it can indicate if there's a dehydration, acute or chronic. All sorts of patterns. And this is where I make it easy for you. So this is the website. If you want to sign up for LabSmarts, you can go and you can sign up for free. You can create a free account in the software and you get 3 free tests, and then you can try it out. And but the main thing, I wanted to make this software really inexpensive for my colleagues because there wasn't one out there. And people tell me I should raise the price, but I don't want to. I want to keep it so everybody has an opportunity to be able to use this tool to easily incorporate blood work into their practice. I know it's not something, it is complicated. So if you haven't already taken a course or don't know much about it, might want to start with FDN. They have an advanced functional blood chemistry analysis course that is great. I've taken it. Let me see. I have it. Let me go real quick. Let me see what time it is. I've been talking for a while, but I have time. Let me go show you the software real quick. Am I sharing? Oh, I have to stop. Let me see. Let me stop sharing that and I'll share the software. Okay. Hopefully you can see that. It looks like.
Yeah, we can see it. It's great.
Okay, great. Okay, so here's the software. It's pretty easy to use too. Not many things to do. And I'll show you quickly how to add a client. So you go in, you can add a client. And what I do is I try to do some things that some of the other programs out there don't do. And what I do is I adjust reference ranges based on all sorts of attributes for the client. Like if the female is pregnant, I adjust the red blood cell reference ranges based on this study that shows that pregnant women at different various trimesters, one of the 2 or 3, the 3 different trimesters, there's different factors that you adjust for that woman to adjust those ranges downward, because typically pregnant women have less red blood cells in their system because they're giving that blood to the baby, which is why people say, oh, you should go, you're pregnant women are anemic, you should take iron, but based on that study, they shouldn't. So you should just adjust those ranges downward. So you may think, if you didn't adjust those ranges downward, you would probably think they were anemic. But when you adjust those ranges downward, it shows that that's a normal value for a pregnant woman. So I adjust those ranges based on premenopause, postmenopause, male or female, the gender, I adjust ranges, date of birth, I adjust ranges for that, ethnicity, and another cool one, I adjust ranges for elevation too. So if you have a client that's living in a high elevation city like Denver or Albuquerque, we know that up the atmosphere up in those higher elevations is decreased, the atmospheric pressure. So that means that the oxygen molecules in the air are further apart. And so every breath that you take in, you're taking in less oxygen. So the body compensates for that by generating more red blood cells. So people in those higher elevations always, if you're not adjusting their red blood cell ranges upward, you're always thinking, oh, they're high. Maybe they're always dehydrated, and that's not the case. So based on their elevation and their studies that support that, I adjust those reference ranges upward. And I'll show you real quick. I have in that button right there, and any little marker that looks like that you'll see throughout the software takes you to my bibliography, where right here where I show you the study, where the different adjustment factors that I use to come up with that adjustment. And also you can go here, takes you to a website where I found that you can look up your client's elevation. I already have it set on elevation, and you can just put the client's city name in there. But this bibliography, and I'll show you when I get into analysis, I have studies that support every range that I have in there. Let me go back and I'll show you that once we look at an analysis. So you can add cigarette smoker, yes or no, alcohol drinker, and I adjust some possible root causes based on that information. So you save that client, they get added to the table here, and then you go and add blood test results for that client. So there's a CBC. I made it really like match the blood work that you get from the lab. So there's a CBC and all those values there. And these values adjust based on this is just a placeholder, but it represents the mean for that range for that particular client and those attributes of that client. So like if I clicked, let me see, a different client, those would change. So it just gives you an idea. And so what I've gone through and made it really easy for you to enter things. So I auto calculate anything that could be calculated based on a formula. So let's see here, 4, 13, 40. So if you enter red blood cells, hemoglobin, and hematocrit, it automatically calculates MCV, MCH, and MCHC because those are formulas based on those three numbers. And I have the same thing for white blood cell differentials. You can enter absolutes in these two different units or percents, and then I'll auto calculate the other. And so I have the CMP values. I have markers on the lipid panel, iron panel markers, thyroid panel markers, and additional markers, all listed in alphabetical order. So you enter your client's test result, click save, and then that goes to the top of the table. And then you click this analysis button, and that's really the fun, cool stuff. And instead of that one, I'll show you this one real quick, which goes along with the scenario that we're talking about with iron. Two different scenarios where you shouldn't recommend iron. So, but it's really simple in the software that you just add a client, add test results, manage their results, and manage clients. So these are all the tests that show up for that client. And I'll start at the bottom here. This is you click that analysis button and it automatically analyzes all those values. And the first section is that red blood cell analysis section, where this scenario shows that, just like I was showing in the slides, I don't have any iron panel markers in here. And then you could see all these different possible root causes for that. Before I go to the next one, I'll show you, like I was talking about earlier, you click any one of these buttons next to any of these markers, and it'll take you right to that point in the bibliography. I'll just show you this one, where for that marker, and it shows you all the studies that I use to come up with the optimal ranges and the lab ranges and alarm ranges. So the way I differ than other software is just about all of my optimal ranges are based on studies, like mortality studies. So if this value is over this range from this study, then the subjects were more likely to have, die or have certain conditions. So those studies back up all my optimal ranges. So in that case, I click platelets, and I'll show you here where if you have MPV, mean platelet volume, I adjust the platelet reference ranges based on the size of the platelets. So that's another study there. And you could just, if you want to find out anywhere that I've come up with ranges, you could just go scroll through here or go to the top and go to any different section. And I'll show you how I came up with all those different ranges. So I have each section, I have all sorts of different markers. You can have up to 82 different markers that I create bar graphs for. So you can see the optimal range here, the kidney, nutrients. This one doesn't have have them all. I have another one that has them all. But let me go. I'll show you one other thing, and then I'll show you. So these panels give you information. So this insight panel gives you information on how I came up with all the different possible root causes, and just gives you more information on what these mean, and how I was saying earlier, things, the way you say this thing. And so you can see the different rules that I have in here. And then I also point you to additional testing that you should do for these different possible root causes. And the first one here it shows that there's no iron panel marker. So that's the first thing you should do, is order these markers. But it'll point you to these different testing markers or different tests, like GI map. I love that one. Further considerations for each section, like if it's copper insufficiency, they may be taking too much zinc, or different things there, like lead toxicity, like I was mentioning earlier, could be a possible root cause of heme synthesis dysfunction. Then there's some signs and symptoms, diet and lifestyle, and some notes that you could take some notes there. There's also notes at the very bottom for overall notes that you want to take for that test. And let me take a sip of water. And so the next is all the same markers, except this time we have values for her iron panel. And you could see that it narrowed it down, like I was showing you earlier, to heme synthesis dysfunction, possibly caused by vitamin B6 insufficiency. And then the Insights tab narrows that down, and it shows how we came up with B6 insufficiency and why, and heme synthesis dysfunction and why that may be there. So a bunch of information that you could cut and paste into your report that you hand to your client. So let me show you. It just goes on forever for all the different possible combinations that I have in here to help you narrow down the possible root causes. There's the other one, acute infection, that I showed you earlier. There's another cool one. Takes a second. So this one is stomach acid insufficiency. I don't call it hypochlorhydria again, because that's a diagnostic term, possibly causing the iron insufficiency. I take it another step further is zinc insufficiency could possibly be causing the iron and stomach acid insufficiency. So zinc insufficiency. So that is, we'll look here. That's alkaline phosphatase. That is a zinc dependent enzyme. So when that's low, that could be an indication of a zinc deficiency. And then, so there's just all sorts of different combinations. So also an acute infection could possibly be causing the zinc insufficiency, which that is, you see that from the white blood cell, and that is high. So when that's high, that's an acute infection. If it's low, it would be listed as a chronic infection. Here's another cool thing I'll show you, this other feature where you could also, not only I have the analysis and the values plotted out on bar graphs, I have this table here where you can compare all the values for that client over time. You can put up to 10 tests in here. This goes oldest to newest. And so this trend column here also compares the most current set test to the previous test to show you if they're trending in the right direction. And you can click on this button here, it'll save this table to a PDF. And then the other one, I didn't show you that you can also save the analysis to a PDF. And this button here next to that one, this plots the current values, the previous values on the, and the current values on the same bar graph. So you could quickly see right here, current and previous, just to give you and the client an idea of where they were before. And you can also, then same thing, you click this button and you could save that to PDF and share that with the client. So let me make sure I'm on time here. 36. So that's, I mean, it's pretty simple, but it's a lot underneath the hood, a lot of things. And so what I'm trying to do is add the same level of analysis, in-depth analysis to each section. So I have right now in the immune system insights section, I call it immune system abnormality. Just, is something abnormal going on in the immune system? But now I'm working on, is it a chronic infection, acute infection, bacterial, viral, all those sorts of things that we know. But right now you can use this to kind of, the bar graphs to at least determine that stuff. And then I'll work on coagulation and glucose. And let me show you, like there's one that has all the different markers. Let me see, I think it's Herman Munster. I don't know if anybody's laughing at all my names. Let me see where, oh yeah, I gotta go back to manage. Herman Munster. Oh, there it is. Okay. I think this one has all of them. No, it doesn't. Oh, it was Jane Jetson. Anyway, there's up to 82 different bar graphs in here that you can check out. And then again, like I said, press this button, it'll take you to that spot in the bibliography. Okay, let me go back to the slides instead here. Okay, that was a live demo. Let me go make this big again. Okay, so are you ready to analyze blood work in your practice? I know you guys know a lot of other functional tests, which is so cool. I love that stuff. GI map and all sorts of organic acids. But blood work is an easy and inexpensive test that a lot of times your clients already have the blood work, or you can order some inexpensive panels on your own. But I think it's a great way to start, and you can use it also then as a baseline. And then when you give them your protocol and then test again and show the improvements of your recommendations and how they improve their markers. It's a cool, inexpensive way to prove your value, and another service that you can add. So if you don't already know functional blood chemistry analysis and haven't taken any courses, I think you guys should take the FDN's functional blood chemistry analysis course. Lisa did a really great job with this course. I was really impressed. She does up to 51 different markers. She tells you what it means if it's high or low. And there's a slide just like this one, like phosphorus, where it's a nice summary of everything. She tells you some patterns that may be related if it's high or low, and then tells you what other functional tests to go look at next. Blood chemistry analysis is not really the root cause test, but it points you to where to go next, which is great. And she also has, for different possible patterns, different conditions, she gives you some recommendations on supplements and talks about, what each marker means. And what I really like here, this one slide I threw in here is, she says, this is how you kind of got to look at it. If you have a marker that's high or low, it could suggest a certain condition, and which I'm really trying to automate all this stuff, so you don't have to keep this all in your head. But right now I don't have all the automation done. So it's nice to know that, so high BUN could be involved in a pattern that's related to hypochlorhydria, stomach acid insufficiency. And then you ask yourself, why might there be hypochlorhydria? And from your training, you probably know that these could be the possible reasons. And then you go and correlate that with the history and symptoms and look at some other testing, some further root cause testing. So I think this is a great course, and I would really recommend it. And which is awesome that Jennifer and we partnered up, and we wanted to give you guys a discount for the combination of these two things. So we want you guys to be able to add blood work into your practice. So Reed is really generous here and is giving you guys a 30% discount if you sign up for this course by July 9th. And then I'm going to give you 2 months of LabSmarts for free. And then, but if you already have some training on blood work and you know how to do it, and you just want to go into using the software, you can use this code here and you get 1 month of LabSmarts for free. And that's the $9 a month one where, let me go back to my pricing. So for a free trial, you get 3 tests for free. And then if you pay $9 a month, it's 10 tests a month. And then if you pay unlimited, if you pay $19 a month, it's unlimited tests a month. And you could do that monthly, or if you do the yearly, I give you 2 months for free. So it's really inexpensive. And a lot of people try it out and then they go with the $9 a month test and then they love it and they do the yearly, or they just do the unlimited. So I'm happy to keep it really inexpensive so a lot of people can use it. So these are just the references for all the studies and everything that I talked about with the oral contraceptives. I want to just throw that in there, but I think I am done. Let me stop sharing here. Did I make it a good time?
Yeah, you made great time, actually. I can't believe you went through all that. It's fantastic. I'm monitoring the Facebook group too, and we're just getting some great feedback from the Facebook group and people watching over there that said this is awesome. And we do have a question here from somebody on our live webinar. They said, this looks great. Will the software work for children's blood work? I've taken more than one blood chemistry course, but I haven't seen anything about functional optimal ranges for children.
Yeah, so in the red bloods, all the red blood cell related markers, I do have kids values in there. But for some of the other ones, I haven't gotten children in there yet, because it's tricky too. Like some of the other, I know what you're saying about some of the other software. Like I think you want to stay away from kids. I don't know, you could get in trouble for some reason but all the red blood cell markers can be, for kids, but I will work on that, because it's just as important for kids as adults to analyze their blood work. But if like alkaline phosphatase, I know is really high in kids because they're building bone, and I don't have that adjustment in there yet for kids. So it's
good to know.
The
search continues. You'd like to think that in our children, we wouldn't have these markers of like imbalances in their blood chemistry,
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's just increasingly more common. So excited to see. And I know you never stop. I know you never stop learning and you never stop creating. So you've told me before in our meetings that there are more markers you're coming out with, more things you're researching for the software. So do you want to give us a little sneak peek into that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the immune system section is the next one I'm working on. And also I'm going to add the sex hormone panel in that, and I'll adjust the ranges based on where the woman falls in their menstrual cycle, because there's a couple different adjustments there. I've had some people ask me for some cancer markers. I'm going to add those, and then I think the thyroid section is going to be after the immune section is the next one that I'm going to add and analyze, because there's a lot of people that love to test all that stuff and ask me for that. And so what I'm trying to do until I have all that information, I'm trying to add all of that stuff in the bibliography. So when you click on any of the thyroid markers, I'll give you some hints on what things mean for high and low. And I'm working on adding all that stuff. But yeah, it's fun. I'm just doing this marketing stuff, but I'd rather just be sitting in the software creating more features for everyone. So I'm working on all that stuff.
Well, one thing I just wanted to share with our community, and I'm not sure if you touched on this, but when you were training me on the program, you showed me that there is an option for a PDF download. So I found that really helpful with my clients, because I'm able to upload it to their client management portal, and they're able to, go home with that 12-page document that breaks down all their blood chemistry analysis markers along with the dials that are on there. Not only is it very like helpful for informing the client, but it's also pretty, which I appreciate.
Yeah, I get a lot of feedback just from my users saying that they love sharing that colorful PDF with their clients. It really gives them a nice visual. So I don't share any of the words in the tabs. That's all for practitioners, but just all the pretty graphs. So you could save one with all the analysis and all the graphs, and then another PDF that has that table that does the comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's
it's pretty rad. It's a very comprehensive service that you offer. I've just been, like I said, really impressed. So yeah, we've got one just question here from Rennie. She said, thank you for the incredible presentation. Using safe language and not diagnosing anything when helping the client to understand their lab is really helpful.
Yeah, thank you. That's great. Thank you, Rennie. Yeah, that was another thing. Being a nutrition consultant, I knew that we're not allowed to diagnose. So all the other programs use anemia and use all the diagnostic terms. And I'm like, oh, we better stay away from those diagnostic terms. I don't want to get in trouble. So I'm glad you appreciate that. Good.
Double checking over on Facebook, but it looks like we're caught up over there. We've got a good representation. Hi, everybody joining us on Facebook this morning. Thanks for hopping on with us. And I know this is definitely only the first that we're going to see of Marianne. So hopefully we'll get to have her back in the near future. But if you guys have any questions at all, Marianne, the website is labsmarts.com, correct?
Yeah, LabSmarts with an S.com. Yep. And you can, if they're in the top right corner, you can schedule time with me and I can give you a personal demo or answer any questions. I'm always here to help. And in the about slide, I have my email address and my phone number. So reach out to me if you need any help.
That's so great. Thank you. And to everyone who signed up for the webinar, if you joined us live or if you're watching the replay, Marianne and I have prepared a special landing page for you. So you will have the replay of this webinar, and then you'll also have the resources easily accessible for you to get your 2-month trial of LabSmarts, to get 30% off the functional blood chemistry analysis course, or just go right into your LabSmart software. So look for that in your email. That should be coming at the end of today.
Yeah, there's a couple more questions in there. I don't know if we
look at that. That blew up, huh?
Oh, yeah. Oh, is the software usable with European? I don't have the SI standards ranges in there yet. I figured I would start with the US first and go from there. So let me see what else. Software. Do you offer extra consulting analyzing?
Okay, where are you at? Oh, there we go.
Do you offer, I guess I should read it out loud. Do you offer extra consulting to analyze and offer other contributions using dress protocol and not just diet or food? No, I don't. Take the advanced blood course and it's great. Oh, you've taken it, Claudia. Cool. And absolutely the software will help a lot. Oh, thank you. No, I don't. But I mean, if you have any questions too, like I am everybody's functional blood chemistry analysis expert. If you sign up for the software, you get me and access to me, and I always help people analyze their results for their clients. So I'm always available to anyone. So I was not able to watch this. It's recorded, right, Jennifer? You're going to record.
I promise you, they're always recorded. You always get a replay. Yes.
Oh, okay. The discount code for signing up for the course is LabSmarts. Mm-hmm. And then once you sign up for the course, Jennifer will tell me, and then I'll give you the discount code to get the 2 months free of LabSmarts. But if you don't do the course, you get the 1 month free, and that is FDN July 2021. So you can go in and do that now. So you could go in and sign up. Anybody can go in right now, sign up for a free account and get those 3 free tests. And then if you like it, you go back into the website and buy one of those subscriptions.
Mm-hmm. FDN July 2021. I'm putting that in our chat over here. I will put it in Facebook as well. That is your code, guys. Okay.
Oh yeah. If you want the slides, somebody asked Tracy about the slides. Sure. I can give Jennifer the slides and you can even put them up on that landing page. Sure.
Okay. Will do. Very much appreciate that. We are kind of like suckers for slides, Marianne. Like we're always like, people, please give us more information.
Oh, cool. Sure. I have some on my website. I have some video page too, where I have some videos on how to do things in the software, and also the recording of 2 different scenarios like I talked about today.
All right. I I was really kind of like interested in the breakdown of tryptophan. I didn't realize that when people were taking, hormonal birth control, that was something that happened. And I just have to, that's like my scope of practice is, working with women in their period. So I wonder if that's one of the reasons that so many women suffer from mood disorders, as they're on the pill and coming off the pill.
That's a good correlation there. Yep. Yeah, there's a study that you can look into at the end of the slides. There's all those studies. So you need to codes again. I don't know how to sign up for the course. Jennifer would know.
So that's if you've already taken the FDN course, you just alert support at FDN and they will give us the code just confirming. So if you've already taken the FDN course, you would just go in and you would either purchase your membership with LabSmarts. Remember, you guys, it's either $9 or $19 a month. So already Marianne's given us a pretty good, price point there, but you still can get 1 month free using that code. Where did I put it? I just put it in there. FDN July 2021, right, Marianne?
Yeah, FDN July 2021.
Yep.
I need to double check real quick.
I know. I probably need to double check too. Yeah. Bear with us for just a second here.
That's it.
Okay, good. We are right. FDN July 2021. And that actually is only good through July 14th, right? Right, Marianne? Is that what you said?
July 9th. I try to make it the same date as the course.
Okay, right. So there is a statute of limitations, you guys, on that offer. So that is July 9th, which is a Friday. So you've got a couple weeks to kind of look into it, play around with it, think about what works for your practice or not, and then hop on with that code and the special offer that Marianne is giving to us, and that Reed is giving to us on the functional blood chemistry analysis course. I will say I've taken the course as well. It is excellent. I use it a lot. And this is just going to, this LabSmarts definitely makes the process a lot easier, but understanding the whys and wherefores as to, what Marianne is explaining to you through LabSmarts is going to be great for you and your client. So the part and parcel, the package together is probably the best thing you can do. But each one is a great standalone as well.
Oh, you're right. Thank you, Claudia. Thank you, everybody, for the nice comments. That makes me feel so good. I appreciate it.
You definitely are appreciated, Marianne. And like I said, hopefully we'll get to have you back in the not so distant future. Are there any closing remarks you have for us on functional blood chemistry analysis?
Well, I'm biased, but I think it's an important part of your practice. It's an easy way to start. And a lot of people already have blood work that they get from their doctor. It's usually not complete, as we know, but at least it's a starting point. So I think it's a good test to add to your practice.
Absolutely. And hopefully you saw that last comment from Beverly, who says you're amazing.
Oh, thank you, Beverly. That's sweet.
Oh, everybody's chiming in here. Yeah, Claudia says thank you. We got one more there. Oh, and Liz says awesome, thank you.
Oh, great. I'm going to have a permanent smile on my face all day.
Good way. It's a good way to have a Friday, right? I was going to say start a Friday, but I know I'm in California and you're not. So it's like the middle of your Friday.
Yeah, right. My Friday's almost over. It's going to be, I think I'm done for the day.
Enjoy. Have a wonderful weekend. You guys, thanks for joining us today. Travis, thank you for those kind words. He says, thank you so much. And let us know your experience. Like, reach out to me. Let me know how you're loving LabSmarts and how you're using it in your practice. Post about it in the AFDNP Facebook group or the training Facebook group. How is it benefiting you and your clients? We'd love to hear that feedback.
Yeah, me too. Email me, Marianne@labsmarts.com, and give me any feedback. I'd love to hear it. And I want to make the software even better.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Marianne.
Thanks, Jennifer.